I've learned to appreciate every blessed way, every day that I exist in Yah's world. I thank Yah in every way as I continue to elevate in Yah's world. Please allow me to apologize for every time you've opened my eyes and I didn't thank you for your love. So if I never ever told you that I love you and adore you, I'm telling you now. And if I never ever showed you that I worship you and I serve you,
What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your boy Norm, Brother Norm, coming at you with another video. Hope you like it. Hope you share it. Hope it's something that you can take and learn from it. It's basically geared toward us as men. A lot of the things that I have to share in this video actually is some of my personal experiences in life, some of the things I went through in life, some of the things I'm yet going through in life. And I know some of the guys that will hear this will kind of understand where I'm coming from and where I'm trying to go. So let's get it. The title of today's video is called Breaking the Cycle. Breaking the Cycle. Not going to be a long video, but hope you enjoy it again. Hope it's something that you like. And if you like it, share it. Breaking the Cycle. How many of you all know that we were born into a certain lifestyle? We were born into a certain way of thinking, a certain religion, a certain lifestyle, a certain eating pattern, a certain dress pattern. We were born into it. That means that the life that our parents or parent lived, when we were born into that lifestyle. Whether it was a good lifestyle or a bad lifestyle, we were born into it. And it had nothing to do with us, meaning that we couldn't control it. There's no way we could have ever stopped it. We were born into it. That means that whatever our parents believed, whatever they didn't believe, what they ate, how they dressed, what they listened to, the type of environment that they lived in, that all became our way of living. So our belief system was waiting on us. That means if my dad or my mom and dad, if they didn't have any type of spiritual background, if they weren't spiritual minded people, that means that was something that was not going to be offered to me. If they were people that believed that they could eat anything, that they could that they could drink anything, that they could listen to anything, that means that was automatically going to be my way of living. Because when I was born, or when we were born, we were like something like an open book. We had no information. We had no data. You know what I'm saying? It was like that we were empty vessels. And they, or he or she, to some of us that was born out of a single parent home, like myself, whatever my mom believed was going to automatically become my belief. And a lot of times we don't understand that. We think it's just us. We think the way we became or how we began to view life, we think it just came from us as individuals, but it came from the life or the lifestyle that was dealt to us at birth. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of things that you do now you inherit, or we inherited from the life that was dealt to us at birth. And it became ours. Now, the older we got, some of us ventured out and we tried new things, new ideas, new ways of living, new ways of thinking from the people that we found ourselves being around. But a lot of us didn't. So that means that if I come up, if I was presented a home where there was no father, and I hung around people, or my friends, the majority of my friends had no father, so that was going to become automatically a way of thinking. That was going to allow me to believe that it's okay for a father not to be in the home, because that's what I was born into. I was innocent. You know what I'm saying? If I was born into a home where the Bible wasn't something that was presented to me, I never saw the Bible. I never saw my mom read the Bible. If that was the case, that means that the Bible was not going to be something that I was interested in, because I didn't see it. It didn't necessarily make me a bad person. It means that it's something that was not a part of the family that I was born into. Now, later on in life, I would probably be introduced to it, but it was going to be somewhat a battle, because it wasn't one of the things that I was introduced to first when I was born. So it might be some type of struggle, but all praise to the Most High, that wasn't the case in my case. My mom had a religious background. So church was one of the things that I was introduced to when I was born into my mom's, when I was brought forth from my mom. My grandparents had somewhat of a religious background. So I knew and learned from them that there was a God somewhere. But some of us wasn't. Some of us was born into homes that the Bible wasn't a book, or they didn't have a spiritual or a religious somewhat atmosphere or way of living. They didn't have that waiting on them when they were born. Meaning that the family that was presented to them, they partied all the time. They drank all the time. A lot of premarital sex was going on. A lot of drug selling was going on. So imagine when a child is born into that type of environment. That's what more likely that child will adopt as a way of living. And that's what Satan does. That's why Satan, he pushes sex. He pushes it because he wants us to go out and bear children. And he wants the environment of that home that child would be birthed into to be a corrupt home already waiting on him or her. Because chances are, if that home is already out of order, if it has no morals in that home, that child is more likely is going to become what that home has to present to it. You know what I'm saying? If it's a bad environment, that child is going to grow accustomed to that an environment in which it won't be bad to him or her. That environment won't be bad to the child. It'll be just life to him. You see what I'm saying? Because you ever heard a person say, well, that's all I knew. That's what I was, all I knew was my mom to be the only parent in the home. That's what I was born into. When I was born and got up to where I can understand and think for myself and see for myself, all I saw was my mom and my other siblings. I didn't see a dad. Later, I learned that I had a dad, but I didn't even know him. So when I got older, I started to mimic what I was born into. I didn't think about marriage. Why? Because my mom wasn't married. I didn't think about any type of spirituality because my mom didn't or my dad didn't. You know what I'm saying? So we inherit what we were born into, and a lot of times we become or we remain what we were born into. And when you're introduced to something different, it's a struggle because you wasn't born into that. We were born as a nation of people into a culture that was not our own. That's why it's so hard for people to understand when you say that, hey, Christianity is a religion. It's something that was presented to our forefathers through slavery. And eventually throughout time, it became to the children that were born afterwards as a way of living. That's all they knew. That's all my grandparents knew, is what their parents taught them. So when it got to me, and when I was born into it, quite naturally, yeah, I was going to be a Christian. Why? Because I was born to a Christian already home, a prepared Christian home. So that's what I became. It does not necessarily mean that that was the religion or that I needed to be in a religion, period. It just means that that's what I was born into. It didn't make it right. See, just because you're born into a certain environment, that does not make the environment right. It's right to you at first because that's all you know. That's all you are acquainted with. You're not acquainted with anything else. You know what I'm saying? To live in a home, to go to a home where the mom and dad are present, versus being born into a home where only mom or dad is, only one individual parent is present, it's gonna seem funny. It's gonna seem strange. And that's what it was to me, because I was born into a home where it was just my grandma and granddad and my grandma and granddad and my mom. My father was not present. And the only way I realized that wasn't really the way is when I went and visit my other siblings, my other cousins, when I saw that they had a mom and dad in the home. Then I realized late on in life that my dad was supposed to be in the home, but he wasn't. So all praise to the Most High, when I started even though the early part of the latter part of my life, or my late teens or early 20s, I ended up having a child, and I knew that I wasn't going to be in the home with that child. So look how I started to repeat the cycle that my dad presented to me. That's what I did, because I didn't think nothing was really wrong with it. But I learned right after I had that child that man, bro, I'm finna do the same thing to my child that my dad did to me. But I stopped. I came out the streets. And I used my first child was one of the reasons why I came out the streets, because I'm thinking now, if I had this child, now I could have another one and another one and not have no commitment to their moms. So what I was going to be doing was allowing them to be brought into a family with no father. Just like I was brought into a family with no father. You see what I'm saying? You see how we repeat the same cycle of our parents, and we keep it going. That's why the media and music promote sex, because the God of this world, the evil mind of this world or of this age, he wants us to keep the cycle going, and we ignorantly keep it going. Us men, we know that we're not going to be with her long. We know all we want is the sex. That's all we want from her, is the sex. You know what I'm saying? We don't sit down at a table and say, look, we're going to get married and we're going to have children, and we're going to raise these children up in Torah or in the commandments. We don't think like that. Why? Because that wasn't presented to us. Our culture as a people was snatched from us, and we was given another culture. That's why, we don't realize how far we are actually from who we really are. And now you have people like myself and other brethren that are bringing to light who we really are as a nation. Now it's strange to us as a people when we hear something different than what we were brought into. It's just like when I go to a brother that's done had 5 or 6 kids, by different women. Now I'm trying to get him to see, now that he's made all those mistakes, all those bad decisions, that bro, this is how it was supposed to be done. The only thing you did was repeat what was given to you at birth. That's what happened. You repeated what was handed to you at birth. That does not make you a bad person. That means the environment that you was born into was not a good environment. And you repeated the same things that was in that environment. And a lot of times we do worse things. My dad, probably because he was born into the same type of environment. And evidently he must then learn better. You know what I'm saying? Because when you come from a family where you got different siblings from different moms, you know what I'm saying? That's not good. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we never really get a chance to learn who all our siblings are, because dad had children, or the father had children everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And that's sad. That's creating not only a bad generation of thinking. What it's doing is creating bad communities, because wholesome communities come from a wholesome environment. And that's why the enemy did his job in allowing us to learn teachings that was not going to enhance good environments. He created a system where it was going to take dad out the home. It was going to make the mom step up and imitate men. And so when children are born into an environment where the mom is actually in the role of the man, more than likely that young girl would begin to act like a boy, because she's learning that her mom is actually in a man's role. And now she's psychologically believing that it's okay for me as a young girl to be what a man is, because that's what life has dealt her. So when we make the decision to be with a woman, knowing that there is no long-term plan for that woman, think about what you're doing for that child that might be born by that woman. And we've ignorantly start making these type of decisions. Well, since we ain't gonna be together, this child don't fit in what we trying to do, we just gonna abort it. I mean, look how ignorant that is. You already planning. You don't have any type of plans to be together long, but you're doing things to bring children into earth, but to keep from bringing that child forth, you just abort it. You know what I'm saying? Look at the decisions that we make, from making one bad decision on to another bad decision, thinking that that's going to be a healthful solution. That's all by design. So as long as we keep listening to what we listen to, as long as our women, because our women are not making it easy, they're wearing any and everything, they're half naked. You can't see some of the sisters on Facebook now without showing their bodies, showing their boobs. The camera's always toward their rear end. And when these men go up in you and put a child in you, you either going to do two things. You're going to have that child, or you're going to try to abort it. All because you know you done made a decision that's going to cost not only you heartache and pain down the road, it's going to be detrimental to that child when that child is born, because that child is finna come into earth, him or her, without a father. And even if you do bring that child in the earth, what kind of teaching is waiting on that child? You gonna let Lil Wayne teach him? You gonna let Steve Harvey teach him? You gonna let Lil Kim teach him? That's what's going on. That's what's going on in our community. That's why our communities are so bad. Look who's teaching our children. Look how we get them a phone at an early age. We don't know what they're looking at on their phones. You know what I'm saying? We leave them idle. We stick them in a daycare somewhere because the child actually to you don't really fit in your life because you didn't really plan to have a child. You just having what you thought was just good sex, good fun. No morals. You know what I'm saying? No spirituality about yourself. You believe you don't believe nothing. You believe in, if a parent has no morals, guess what's going to happen to that child that's born into that family? No morals. Then that child, ignorantly, not knowing it, is going to be a threat to society. When are we as men going to start taking responsibilities for our actions? These are the things we doing. We think it's cool, because at one time I thought it was cool. We think women, multiple women, a lot of sex, we think that's a way of living. Because why? A lot of us was born into that. We had an uncle that was a gigolo. And we thought that uncle was cool. Why? Because everybody praised him. But he didn't take care of his kids. He had kids everywhere. They didn't even know him. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have no dealings with him. He didn't feed him nothing spiritually. He just laid up with different women and had kids. And some of those kids, if you go and do any type of research on some of your family members, some of those kids end up in prison. Some will end up dead. Because why? They was brought into an environment with no morals, no biblical knowledge. And that's what I'm about. I'm about getting to the root problems. I'm not trying to take anything from men about it. I'm trying to let us know as men how we ended up in some of the lifestyles that we ended up in. We was born into it. And when new knowledge came along, a lot of us reject it. We don't even want it. We're content with the things or with the way things are. And it's very sad. And religiously, we're the same way. We think Christian. This is the way no, that's not the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it was presented to you at birth. Don't make it right. My last video, I was talking about being able to eat, not being able to eat certain things and not eat certain things. And a lot of people, man, one guy posted right after I posted that post, him eating some type of pig feet or something. Like that's bad. Like that's harming you. We can eat whatever we choose to eat, but that don't make it healthy. Just because you was born into a family where everybody ate chitlins, everybody ate shrimp, everybody ate catfish, that does not mean that that's the right type of food to eat. You were just born into it. That's all. Everybody went to church on Sunday. Everybody got baptized when they got mid-age, like a 13 or 14. Everybody wore this. Everybody did that. It does not make it right. You was just born into it. Now knowledge is everywhere. Different knowledge. But I advise all of us to stay within the confines of the Bible. Get you more than one translation. That's what you do. And start from Genesis, then go to Revelations. Don't start in the middle of the book how we were taught. See, we were born, a lot of us were born into a family where that's where the preacher started it, in the middle of the book. And we thought and think, a lot of us still think that's right. But open your mind up. Don't be afraid to listen to something different than what you were born into. And I guarantee you, it'll change your life. It'll change your life. Brothers, a lot of us done made mistakes that we can't unmake. But as long as you got children still living, reach out to those children. Deal with your children. Tell them you sorry for not being in their life. Tell them why you probably ended up the way you ended up. Because you didn't have a dad. But that don't let that be an excuse not to deal with your children, because I didn't. Even though I didn't have a father, I knew when my oldest daughter was born that I had to be different than what my dad or how my dad dealt with me. I had to be different. And I was different. I chose to go against the grain. That's what I did. And I'm reaping the benefits of it now because I have a relationship with my daughter. So I hope this video enlighten you. If you like it, like it. If you love it, share it. Until next time, shalom, shalom, shalom.